What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right, I have some breaking news, and that is that Keefe D, aka Dwayne Davis, has been arrested in connection to the crime that took the life of iconic rapper Tupac Shakur some 27 years ago. Back on September, I think it was the 6th, no, September the 6th into the 7th, 1996, Tupac Amura Shakur was infamously shot on the Sunset Strip, leaving a Tyson fight, championship fight. I think it was the Mike Tyson Bruce Seldon fight, and he was mortally wounded. He laid in a hospital bed, slowly succumbing to his injuries before expiring on September 13th, 1996, which if I remember correctly, was a Friday. I definitely remember that day. It was a Friday. We've all had suspicions about who committed this dastardly crime. We all have these theories. It's been talked about for over a quarter of a century. But little was done back then. But now there's a new generation in law enforcement. Many of these people who grew up in law enforcement now, you got to remember, idolized this guy, grew up in the culture, grew up listening to hip hop culture. Back then, many of the people who were involved in LAPD abhorred and despised hip hop culture. They despised Tupac Shakur. But now you got a lot of younger people in their 20s and 30s who grew up listening to this guy. And they actually had an interest, especially after the Rampart scandal in LA, and maybe even subsequent police departments nearby, just in general, were embarrassed by that scandal, and wanted to get to the bottom of what actually happened. Especially with all of these different detectives, Greg Kading, what's his name, man? The late Russell Poole. They all did research, especially Russell Poole, who I think was the most genuine. But of course, with his passing, we never understood or knew what happened. And I think that movie City of Lies that came out a couple years ago informed a new generation about how much of a breach of justice it was for this crime to have not been solved, or the people who committed this crime not brought to justice. Now, in my opinion, many of the people who were involved will never be brought to justice because A, the code of the streets, and B, many of them subsequently have been eliminated through the other mishaps. All right? Orlando Anderson's an example of that. But I'll put a link to this article in the pinned comment in the comment section below from TMZ. Tupac Shakur was taken out of here 27 years ago, and there's finally been a major update in the case. Cops have made an arrest in connection to the killing. Dwayne Keefe D. Davis was arrested early Friday morning by the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department on unknown charges related to Tupac's death, according to the AP, who says they spoke with two officials with first-hand knowledge of the arrest. Davis certainly isn't a new name when it comes to Tupac's passing, admitting in interviews in his book, Compton Street Legend, that he was in the Cadillac from which the bullets that took out Tupac were fired. Keefe D is a former Crip and claims to be the uncle of the late Orlando Anderson, who's been suspected, at least on the streets, to have been the man who perpetrated the crime directly. Orlando is also the man who got into the fight with Tupac and his crew inside the MGM Grand right after a Mike Tyson fight, as I said before, and shortly before the fatal shooting went down just off the Vegas Strip. It was back in July when cops descended on a LA home owned by Keefe D's wife, Paula Clemens, executing a search warrant in connection to the investigation. During the search, cops took a computer hard drive, cell phones, a copy of Vibe magazine that featured Tupac, and tubs containing old photographs. They also took several .40 caliber bullets. The story is developing once again. Keefe D has been arrested in connection to the crime that took the life of Tupac Shakur. Tell me what you guys think.